Hey everyone, Lisa Grace here, and this is the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th episode of season 6 of the Teach Middle East podcast. And it is my pleasure to welcome Hugh Viney. He is the founder and CEO of Minerva Virtual Academy. And we're going to be talking online schooling, but we're not talking about it in the way that it opposes your actual school. So don't turn off the podcast. We are here to help. Welcome, Hugh.
We are here to help. Welcome. Oh, thank you for having me, Lisa. Sorry, I don't know why I just welcomed you. It's been a busy morning already, but yeah, we're here to help. We're all about it's all about the children first. It's not about changing things that exist already. It's not about physical traditional schools having to change what they do. We're just all about what's right for the child. And there's sometimes one or two kids that don't suit traditional school, right? They just don't suit them. So an alternative might be better for them. And that's all we're here to say.
Yeah, and I love that because I am a former school leader, led large schools here, and I know that when people hear online schooling, all they think of is, oh, these people want to stop traditional schools and they just want to have kids sat in front of a laptop and that's it. But that's not it, is it, Hugh?
No, it's not. I mean, many of our families choose us because they get to be outside more than in a mainstream school. They get to be moving around more because the way we do online schooling is it's just a bit more efficient. You require fewer lessons, so you can do a couple of hours of lessons and get the same impact as 5 hours of lessons in a mainstream school and put your laptop down and be outside. And that's what a lot of families choose us for. And I know some teachers find that just bonkers, but we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yes, we will. But let's go back a bit. Who are you and why online schooling? What's this journey you're on?
Good question. And one I should have expected. Look, a lot of people ask me, yeah, you must be a teacher background. And, did you teach or were you in schools? And I said, well, I think, I think it's good that I wasn't. I came at this as a homeschooling expert. So my background was I ran a tutoring business called Minerva Tutors. And before COVID, well, our growing service was not just tutoring, but it was homeschooling. So I had 6 years of seeing the needs of families who don't suit mainstream school and the needs of children that don't suit mainstream school. And we were providing them with homeschooling services. Now, homeschooling with tutors, though, is expensive. It's like, you've got a team of 5 tutors, one-on-one. It can be, really, really expensive, like expensive private school, right? So in 2020, in COVID, when most families around the world were having a miserable time in lockdown, there were some families who were having an amazing time. And not an amazing time because they were on a desert island or something and they'd escaped the city. Amazing time because their child was happy for the first time in years. These families were going, hang on, why is my child so happy? They're normally so miserable going to school. And these children were happy for different reasons. Children with mental health needs, for whom traditional school at worst makes them ill, but at best doesn't engage them. They were happy because working from home was better for their anxiety. Working from home made them relax more, meaning they could concentrate more, meaning they could engage, meaning they could learn more. So these were happy kids in COVID. And there was another group of kids, the neurodivergent group, who are miserable going to school often. At best, school doesn't work for them. They find it hard to learn. They were happy and learning and engaging because they were online. So they could focus more and not be distracted by a noisy, busy classroom with 20 other kids in it or 30 other kids. And these parents were going, hang on a minute, you're learning more and you're happier because you're not at traditional education, you're not in traditional school. So those parents thought, hang on a minute, when COVID finishes, when lockdown ends, I don't want to send them back to the mainstream. Yeah, their older brother, he was desperate to get back to school, but he suits physical school. Their younger sister, yeah, she's desperate to get back in because she loves drama. She's an extrovert. But yeah, that child, and I'm using examples there flippantly. There was some children, and I call it's a minority for sure, an absolute minority, but it's a significant minority arguably 20% of kids. And they flourished in the lockdown experience. They flourished in their education for the reasons I've described and more. So some parents were going, hang on a minute, I want something else. I don't want to send them back to mainstream education. And they were Googling homeschooling. Our company would come up. They'd call, and the same problem persisted. We're very expensive. One-to-one homeschooling is expensive. So I thought in 2020, I'm going to come up with a cool idea. I'm going to create an affordable homeschooling solution. And it's going to be a school called Minerva Virtual Academy, where most of the learning's online. Most of the learning's flexible, although they'll have some real teachers too. Every child will get a mentor once a week, one-on-one, and we will have community from day one. We will have assemblies, we will have after-school clubs, and we will have school trips. And that was unique for an online school. So that was my idea in the summer of 2020. Finished the business plan in September 2020. October, created a website, paid for some Google ads where we captured the keywords online school and homeschool. And we got, 40 phone calls, and 4 parents paid. They signed up. they joined our school. So in a 4-week trial we ran in November, December 2020, 4 families had paid up till the end of June. Why? How? I'll tell you, you'll get that in a second. And 10 families signed up for free as a trial. 4-week trial went really well. And in January 2021, we officially launched with 10 students at the school. And then fast forward to now, 1,200 students at the school full-time, years 7 to year 13, fastest growing school in the UK. And we this last week launched our UAE GCSE MVA family community, and I can't wait to tell you about that too.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes you're on a path because you are on that path of tutoring online, and then another path opens up for you to serve even a wider community. Want to ask you something. When COVID happened and there were so many inquiries, what did that tell you about traditional schooling?
Well, this is it. What and the same thing. How did 4 families pay £5,000 or whatever it was back then to join my school, which was a brand new concept that hadn't existed until and run as a school until the Monday they joined? Those 4 kids. Why on earth would they do that? Okay, one, they saw that we'd come from a tutoring business with some credentials, for sure, experience in homeschooling. But I think the main reason is desperation. These families did not want to go back to mainstream education. They couldn't. The idea was awful, so anything would be better, including my weird little, idea. That was better than going back to their bricks and mortar school. And those 4 founding students, those 4 kids that joined us, those 4 families, they represent the 4 categories of kids we have now, which is fascinating. Now we have 1,200 kids. Those 4 remained. The first 4, a child with a mental health need. School made her very anxious and she couldn't go to school. A child with neurodivergent needs. School was too noisy, too loud, too chaotic for them, so they couldn't concentrate at school. So online was perfect for them. One was an elite athlete. So school, doesn't work because they're training so much. They need a school that fits around their training schedule, like ours. And one was a lifestyle family, a family that moved around a lot, a family that didn't want the constraints of traditional education. And funny enough, those 4 kids represent the 4 categories of families we have now at MVA, even though we've grown to 1,200. And I want to tell you a great story about the child with anxiety. And this is, I think, something your audience need to listen to because it's an important part of our model. May, her name was, our first ever student, she came to us with her mental health needs, anxiety. She couldn't go to school. School didn't know what to do. So their parents found us. She came to us for 2 years, year 10 and 11. She got 9 GCSEs, 8s and 9s with us. And her confidence was restored. She'd made friends. She'd got grades, and she returned to physical school for 6th form. She returned to physical school for 6th form because she felt better. She felt more confident, and she had the grades. She went on to get 4 A's at A-level at her physical school and went to Oxford to read classics. And
Wow.
Lisa, do you want to hear something cool? That was my first ever MVA student. Many, many moons ago, Oxford rejected me for classics. So here we are. One of my students, my first ever student, the full circle moment. our first ever, didn't come, she did 2 years of GCSEs with us. I just want to caveat that, remind people. But that was seminal for her, like her well-being. It was seminal for her growing up. It was an important 2 years so she could feel right again, go back to physical school, flourish in sixth form, off to Oxford, did better than I ever did.
You know what? It's important to talk to our audience because they are the leaders and they're seeing these students who may have anxiety or other mental illness. Yeah.
Mhm.
And they need to make recommendations to parents because parents are looking to them for guidance.
Yeah.
How do they identify those students? Like, what are we looking for? I know you're not a psychologist or anything, but from your experience, what are they looking for?
I could tell you about it, with lived experience. 200 of our students out of 1,200 now have come to us from schools, physical schools, sending them to us. Independent schools, state schools, international schools, and local authorities in the UK. So how have we got here? That wasn't what happened at the start 4 years ago. How have we got to the point where schools are calling us, often the deputy head, often it's the deputy head. Hugh, we've got a kid for you. No, it's not me anymore. They call it, they call our head of EHCPs or ECP coordinator or head of admissions, or we've got someone in charge of school partnerships. And they say, look, we've got a child for you. Often the category is either their neurodivergent needs or mental health needs. Those are often the category. How do we get to that point? Well, we started off, Lisa, this is amazing. A lot of my teachers from my school, I went to an independent school in the UK, a lot of my teachers are now head teachers. It's really cool. They're now heads of like top UK schools, and they knew what I was doing with MVA. So in the first few years, they would just pick up the phone and say, Hugh, I've got a kid for you.
Yeah.
That's grown to, like I said, they're sort of, working with about 80 schools now across the UK and some international schools who are sending us kids. We have a good relationship with all of them. I'm just like setting the scene. It's really natural for us. This is happening. We are getting referrals from schools, school leaders all the time. It started off with my old teachers who are now heads, and now it's a bit more sophisticated. But why? What are they spotting? That was your main question. Well, they're seeing a child struggling to attend school. This is obvious. So when they're avoiding school, having emotionally based school avoidance, EBSA, or you might not call it that out in the Middle East, but they are missing school, that's an obvious sign. That's so obvious. They're not attending. Their attendance has dropped below 80%. That's a time to think it's not the parents' fault. That's what I want to say. And it's not the school's fault. It's not the teacher's fault. It's the system. It's the system. These kids do not suit the system. It's not the head teacher's fault. It's not the school's fault, and it's not the parents' fault. That's the kind of attendance piece. I think that's obvious. They're missing school. Give us a call. And guess what? Their attendance goes to 97% when they're with us. We have those stats now. We have the proof. The others might be the less obvious. Children are retreating into their shell. Sure, they're turning up every day, but like their grades have dropped off. That's an obvious one. They're not socializing enough. They're avoiding groups. And you think, well, online school, they're going to socialize even less. And it's just not true. You watch any of our videos of our students, they talk about how they had no friends at their physical school. And at MVA, some of these mental health needs students, they've got dozens of friends now. Dozens. All across the world in the UK. Don't tell me that physical school was better for their socializing. They were bullied. They had no friends. And now they have dozens and dozens of friends at the online school, and they meet them on the school trips. So I think a really good school leader can spot that. There's something up there, and it's not fair to punish these kids every day who are miserable when they've got no friends at your school or they're being bullied. And then the neurodivergent students, these are fascinating when I interview them at our school trips and stuff. They're like, yeah, I had no friends in my previous school. And at MVA, I've got 2, and that's all I need. Because they're neurodivergent kids. They don't need dozens of friends. They don't need it. But they've got their 2 best mates who are just like them. They're just like them. And an online school like ours, you arrive and the kids go, I see you. I see you. And they just like relax because, oh my God, I'm being seen. Because that traditional school I was at before, there weren't kids like me. And at MVA, there's loads of kids just like you. So those are 2 really good examples, and there's plenty more.
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk about the fact that when you have neurodivergent kids and you have such rigid structures of traditional schools, it is hard for them to take a break, to take a minute, because the bell goes bam, 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 and you have to move with it. And so I wanted to find out from you, how do you structure your online school so that neurodivergent kids can flourish by having the breaks but still have the structure?
Yeah, of course. One headline is that these kids can go to the bathroom when they want. And do you know how like transformative that is for a neurodivergent student? It's like a game changer. That was not in my business plan. They get more bathroom breaks, so that therefore they will flourish. It wasn't. But my God, like they talk about that a lot. Do you know what they also say? They say, I get to have lunch at home with my mum's cooking. Do you know how much that relaxes them? And like they don't get like they're not getting anxious about what they might eat and what they can't eat, like getting to eat at home. So they talk about that. They say, yeah, the fact I get to eat at home means I can concentrate better on my work. And that's bathroom breaks and lunches. And I just never thought that would be the thing. But it is. It's often what they say empowers them and makes them concentrate, makes them think better. And then there's the more obvious stuff. And lots of neurodivergent kids, not all, find the classroom busy and distracting, noisy, smelly. Like online, concentrate, focus, engage. And guess what happens when you engage? You learn more and then you're happier and you make more friends, right? But I'll just explain a bit about how we structure days. So our learning model is this mixture of asynchronous learning on a virtual platform without a teacher. That's 60% of the learning. And that's mixed with 40% with lessons with teachers. So your timetable in the week is about 40% of what you get at a traditional school in terms of teacher interaction. And the classes are average sort of 20 kids per class, but they go lower. And with some of the neurodivergent students, this means the flexible element of learning, which is 60% of the learning, they can do when they want. Some of them don't function in the morning, so they do it all in the afternoon. Some of them do it all in the evening, that self-directed learning, and they turn up to their lessons in a fixed timetable. So that's amazing. That allows them to work at their own pace when they want. And these kids love that. They can kind of accelerate ahead or they can slow down. But don't get me wrong, some of them, as you'd expect, say, this is whoa, whoa, whoa. This is too much. Like, I need a fixed timetable. Meaning they want to know what they're doing at 9 till 10. They want to know what they're doing from 10 to 11, even if it's the self-directed learning. And in those cases, we write a timetable for them and sort of lay it all out for them. So they want to be 9 till 3 every day because that's what they're used to. And doing outside of that would be distracting and painful. So we give them those like laid out timetables too. So that's the best thing about our school is the options.
Yeah, I love the fact that there is that mix of asynchronous and live. But there's something I want to touch on. Hybrid. Because there is so much being said right now about screens and being on the screen. What are your thoughts on this? How are you guys mitigating the excessive screen time that online schooling would actually inevitably cause?
Yeah, well, if you think about it, traditional school might have 6 hours a day of lessons or 7 hours a day of lessons or something like that. And there are some online schools that just copy that, Zoom school, it's just sort of back-to-back lessons, lunch break, back-to-back lessons. And that's just not our way. So I already mentioned only 40% of your week is lessons with a teacher. That's fixed. And the rest is the self-directed learning element, which on average means you're doing half the amount of lessons of a traditional school. So that doesn't mean you're on a screen all day. You're on a screen for half the day. And which might be too much screen time for some, but for many, that's the norm or better than the norm. So we mitigate it in those ways. We also do loads of stuff on well-being and when to switch off, and we have a whole well-being team and a well-being program, and so we mitigate in those circumstances. But the best thing really with our model of asynchronous and synchronous is you're not doing the same amount of lessons as a traditional school. You're doing way less. So that means you're not on your screen all day in any way. But it's a great
Yeah.
question. I totally get it. It's a great question.
Yeah, because I'm kind of channeling my listeners, and I know that that is something that they're thinking about. Oh, it's an online school, which means excessive screen time. But with that mix that you're talking about, I could potentially see how when they're not having a live lesson, how they could be on breaks or they could do the other bits at different times. And the
And
thing,
remember what I said at the start, Lisa. Parents choose us, families, lifestyle families, athlete families. They choose us because they get to be outdoors more.
yeah, and I also think at school they're now sticky because my kids carry a Chromebook with them.
Yeah.
They are online. I don't think they're online all of the time, but they're online quite a bit doing different
Mm.
things on their Google Classroom and Chromebook. What I know we're segueing into something that I've heard about and wanted to tap, and I think our listeners would be really interested in, is using Minerva to offer the subjects
Yeah.
that you can't find the staff for. So we're in an international private school and options are key. They're so important. Like if you can offer more options to your parents, you stand a better chance of making sure enrollment is top, right?
Totally.
How does Minerva help schools with that optionality when there isn't a teacher physically present to offer certain courses?
Yeah, it's great, Lisa. We have a separate arm of the business, which is called MVA Hybrid, and this is our service for schools rather than parents. So if you're a school in the region, in the UAE, in the wider Gulf region, and you want to offer Latin GCSE, for example, because you think that would be great, which I agree it would be, having studied Latin and ancient Greek at university. But you think it'd be great for retention, great for your school, all those important reasons why you want to expand your curriculum, but you cannot get the Latin teachers out there. Or it's a bit too expensive to hire a Latin teacher because you're only going to have 10 kids studying it. What you can do is partner with us, and MVA Hybrid will provide you with that Latin GCSE. All your kids need to do is go into a quiet room with a laptop, fit it into their timetable, and they've got a Latin GCSE to go with along with their 8 other GCSEs they're studying physically in your school. We set that up all for you. But then again, what if you're losing students for sixth form and you want to expand your A-level offering? You want to offer sociology A-level, psychology A-level. Again, that directly will impact you retaining students for sixth form. We can do the same thing. We can set up sociology A-level, psychology A-level, any A-level you want, really, any of you don't do. MVA Hybrid will provide that service for you. So all you need for your students, say you've got 10 wanting psychology A-level, they're doing maths, they're doing chemistry, and they're like with you in your school as you would expect. And then for psychology, for 3 times a week, they're going down to a quiet room with their computers, and MVA is delivering the psychology A-level for you. So it's just a really good value add for schools that want to increase their curriculum, expand their curriculum offering without the cost of hiring teachers, which of course will help with things like enrollments and retention.
Yeah, I love that because here you've got so many schools that can't hire physics teachers.
There you go. Physics. I should have spoken about physics, Lisa, there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's such a hard subject to recruit for. And then there are the examples that you give where you don't have that many students. And we all know bringing someone out to the Middle East for 4 or 5 students is very, very expensive because you have to pay that person a full-time salary plus all the benefits. So it's a fantastic offering because I think as a former school leader, that's ideal because you have the students in traditional school, but you're not limiting them to what you can offer in the brick and mortar. You're opening it up. And so they've got all that option. That is a brilliant idea if I've heard of
And
one.
it's it's obviously going that way. Schools are adopting using us for this. We've and I've seen schools doing it themselves, not using someone like MVA. They're just forward-thinking head teachers who are setting up a psychology, for example, A-level online. So it's moving that way. And you can see it for lots of ways. Like I'll give you another couple of examples. There's a school in the UK who don't have a sixth form yet. They go up to year 11. They want to launch a sixth form next year. And you know what? They've got the buildings. We've got the location. They're going to use MVA to run the sixth form, the learning element. We'll do all the subjects for them, but they'll have the physical location for kids to come in, socialize, have their lunch, do drama, do art, do sport. But the learning, all their A levels, will be with us.
That's
And
yeah.
and there's another school in the UK that closed down this year. There's awful stuff going on in the UK with the VAT on private school fees, and these poor private schools getting shut down up and down the country. One of them's come to us and said, you know what, we want to reopen. Can we partner with MVA hybrid? MVA is going to do the entire curriculum, Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, GCSEs. The kids are going to, go on their laptops to learn with us, but they're going to have somewhere to go at the school. The school will do the sport, do the drama, do the lunch breaks, do breakfast clubs, whatever, but the learning is going to be with MVA. And so it's a full hybrid partnership. And we've saved that school. It was closing down. So these are amazing, these are tough times for many schools, but there's kind of a really exciting future if we embrace the potential of online schooling and hybrid schooling.
Yeah, I think one doesn't replace the other. I think that we can have brick and mortar, we
Definitely.
can have hybrid, we can have online. I think it's all about optionality. I think it's
Totally.
all about having that buffet. And we all out here
Exactly.
in the Middle East know a thing or two about buffets, boy.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I was there. I went to my first Dubai brunch the other day, and yeah, that's a serious buffet. That was a serious buffet.
So we
Um,
know about offering the good stuff and people choose.
yeah, no, it is. I believe for me, people say, "Oh, what's the future for you with schooling? Is it online? Online?" I'm like, no, of course not. The future's choice. The future is parents going, I've got physical school to choose for my kids, traditional physical school, which was amazing for me, Lisa. I flourished in a physical environment. But the reason I launched MBA is because there are loads of kids that do not flourish in a physical environment. Well, traditional environment. So for me, the future's choice, traditional bricks and mortar, hybrid, and online.
Yeah.
And the parents can choose all three, and there'll be state versions, free versions, and private school versions of all three. And that's what I mean. Parents will have choice, and that's what I think the future's going to be. It's just a matter of when. Is it 4 years time? Is it 20 years time? I actually don't know. I can't make a call on that.
I like that. Cheeky question. You see, when I do this, my listeners know I'm coming with something silly.
Go on.
So I have like tens of thousands of teachers that listen to us.
Yeah.
They want to know how you hire. Like, what are you looking for? Please
Amazing.
don't kill me, fellow school leaders. I'm not trying to steal your teachers.
Oh
But
wow.
some
Wow.
teachers just want out of the brick and mortar and they want to know how can they become an online teacher? How can they work with somewhere like Minerva Virtual Academy and change up some lifestyle stuff there? So help us
Look,
out, Hugh.
look, and I'm sorry, school leaders, but unless you start offering hybrid, like some forward-thinking heads, this is going to happen more and more. Look, I think also in the Middle East and UAE, I don't think it's as bad as it is in the UK with this teacher exodus. So many teachers are leaving the profession in the UK
They're
right now.
coming here.
Yeah, they're coming there, exactly. Or coming to my online school. Yeah, they're doing both, exactly. But so look, when we started out, I just borrowed a bunch of tutors from my tutoring business. It was a ragtag bunch of tutors, right? And it wasn't the same. And tutors, I love them, obviously, but tutors are mercenaries. They want to do that hour, get their money, and then like leave. So in a few months, it was really obvious. My first head teacher, Lawrence, who was from Wickham Abbey, he was like, we need to hire teachers. We need to hire teachers. So we started almost like in our first year, properly hiring teachers. Fast forward to now, right? With our principal who became principal in January 2024, Suzanne, you've got fast forward to now, we've got a the kind of structures of a international school faculty, a principal, Suzanne, two vice principals, one vice principal academic, one vice principal pastoral, four assistant vice principals, heads of year, heads of department, all that kind of stuff. And our principal, Suzanne, she was deputy head of the British school in Bangkok. Our vice principal Middle East, Harry, was an assistant principal at GEMS school in Dubai. Career teachers in physical schools, often international, but not always. Our vice principal pastoral was assistant head or deputy head, sorry, at a very like high performing state school in London, which got loads of kids into Oxbridge and stuff. And she's chosen to come over to us. So let's start with them, the senior leaders. Why on earth are they like leaving careers in international schools or top schools you guys are to come to online? They see the impact we're having on kids and the future and the way the school's going. They see that traditional school isn't right for lots of kids. So they wanted to come to MBA and have a career with us. Now, they don't do it because they get to work from home, but they like that element, I'm sure. And then let's talk about our other teachers. All our other teachers, like middle leaders and teachers, where have they come from? All over. State sector, private school, international schools. More and more are coming from top UK private schools. It's crazy. And right now, like I said, you have to have done, to apply for us, you need 3 years experience. You need to have a qualified teacher status. All this stuff that Suzanne's brought in since she became principal. And it means, yeah, we get hundreds of applicants for single jobs, and look, if you say in an interview, when we ask you, why do you want to come to MVA? And if you say to us, because I get to work from home, wrong answer. But it's okay that is a good, attractive thing. Of course it is. These are teachers working 6-day weeks. I just spoke, one of our new geography teachers comes from a boarding school in the UK. And he's like, I was working 6 days a week, 15 hours a day. And he gets to come to MVA where the work-life balance is better. He gets to work from home, which is attractive. He's an amazing teacher. Wants to do what he can to help kids. And this other thing, we offer 4-day weeks and 3-day weeks. Many of our teachers are working 4-day weeks or 3. Some of our leaders are working 4 days, and not many schools can offer that, can they, Lisa? So it's attractive. And
Good luck with the influx now,
yeah,
Hugh.
I
Good
know.
luck.
I know. Thank you. Well, we're trying to recruit in the Middle East anyway. We've got our vice principal Middle East, Harry's out there. We've got one of our careers advisors. She's in Abu Dhabi, and yeah, we're trying to grow. We're going to be recruiting teachers and leaders, for the coming years, based in the region. So I don't mind an influx.
Okay. I love the sound of that. All right. So we're winding down the podcast, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about where you see your online academy or virtual academy going. Like,
Yeah.
what are your plans? What's on your roadmap?
Yeah. So this year, for the first time ever, we created a second time zone for us. We've always operated out of the UK time zone. We've predominantly been, 85% of our students are UK, 15% are around the world in around 60 countries. And this year I said, hang on a minute, UK, we've got about 1,000 kids or more, and we've got a couple of hundred nearly around the world, all scattered. And the thing these kids aren't getting that are not in the UK, firstly, the time zone isn't that great for them. And secondly, they're not getting the best thing about MBA, which is the school trips, the parent community, the physical meetups, the secret sauce, which makes us special. Like the international non-UK families aren't getting that. So I was like, right, enough's enough. This is the next phase of our growth. We're going to put a flag in the UAE or in the GCC. We're going to say, we're going to do a GST time zone, so which we are, a Gulfstream time zone. And we're going to have another center for our families, another community. So we launched in the region this year. Last week, we did our launch party for our GCC families. It was in Dubai. We got 40 families in the UAE now, and that's now the second biggest country for us outside the UK, and it's growing in every week. And a lot of them, they appreciate we're doing the Gulf Stream time zone, But the real magic is the school trips. We're going to do school trips in the UAE, school trips in the GCC, and the family meetups. That's the stuff these parents really wanted, which we were only doing in the UK for the first 4 years. So second region outside the UK where we've really got a hub, where we've really got a family community, is now in the GCC, particularly the UAE. And that is exciting. And so the roadmap for the next 5 years is opening up 2 more of these zones around the world. So you can see us really growing to become a global school. 5,000 students, it wouldn't be ridiculous thing to say in the next few years. And what you get with that, and this is my passion and belief why this can, really get big one day, we'll see. Imagine that as that kind of spread of students across the world in full-time education, a truly global school. So imagine the learning and experience students will get with friends around the world, a real global outlook in a world that's increasingly looking inward across the world. And that excites me and fascinates me. Our students will have this amazing global community that they're part of. And then think about that long term is the alumni network. The alumni network of MVA one day will just be so incredible, so powerful that you can have friends all over the world, and one day business connections, what have you. And I believe in the power of alumni network, the kind of school I went to, and a lot of these kids would never have thought about that. They would never think, oh, I'm going to one day benefit from an alumni network at the school they're at where they're miserable. And at MVA, maybe they're not even thinking about it, but I'm seeing that as a real global school. And that's the future roadmap. I don't like to go ahead further than 3 years, but 4 different regions, UK, GCC, and then 2 others, and a real global school with a global alumni as well.
Oh, wow. Well, I hope to see the journey unfold and to see that vision come to reality. Thank you for being on the podcast, Hugh.
I'll keep you updated, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.